welcome to my channel. I'm Kissy, and today we're going to have an interesting conversation before we do our reading. So, we have a lot of activity happening in these air signs, Aquarius and the moon in Gemini. I don't know, the moon might have already moved to Cancer. I don't even know. But I can only speak on the energies and how I've experienced them in the last few days or so. So let's talk about it a little bit as I look here. Yeah, the moon is still in Gemini. Mercury is in Aquarius with the sun. And then Jupiter's the Gemini also. All right. So with that being said, and then Pluto in Aquarius. Okay. So with geez, technology transforming how we relate to technology, perhaps, or how we integrate our consciousness with the new way of the world being in terms of technologies. I feel like information, like uh, customer service information centers, right? They're no longer being handled by normal people. Most of them are being handled by AI, um, or companies outside of our country. But more recently, something very interesting occurred. And notice, please pay attention. This has been happening to me cyclically, I will say, since about 2019 that I know of for sure. It could have happened to me prior to that, but I was definitely not considering it or looking into it or feeling weird about it. It wasn't until about 2019 that things started really changing, especially 2020, when it comes to what I'm going to talk about, which is like dealing with doing business with your phone. Okay, your business with technology, your business with phone. Now, there's a gazillion conspiracy theories on our freedoms being hacked and how technology can infiltrate and how much information, you know, is is being exposed to unknown agencies. So, for instance, a very real life example. This was, and the only reason I'm bringing it up is because I've seen a pattern of it, so I can speak on it with a sense of certainty, a sense of, yeah, I can say that this is definitely off, and that this is definitely, it must be this, what's going on here. This isn't me just filling my head with something I heard or anything. No, it's what I'm experiencing is because I'm old school, okay? And I'm from an era when when monies were exchanged person to person, hand to hand, um, physical money. Transactions were not just like lost in thin air in the ethers. And suddenly, like, hey, where did our exchange go? Okay. So when dealing with like companies, like everything is so easy for us, like, oh, just pay online. Oh, just use the kiosk and just this, and everything is, no person contact, right? So, okay, it's convenient. Automatic payments come in and out, but you don't see what's really coming in and out because you just let it go. And you think that these little chump change that they take from you here and there, these little supposed mistakes that will never be addressed unless you address it, they add up. So this isn't penny pinching, folks, but it's just talking about what goes on. Like when you really like when you're on a budget, like I'm on a budget, and not really, but I am obviously like I'm on an income that I have to manage with precision. And so I do so. And I realized that, you keep up with things here and there, and every so often you could drop the ball and maybe forget a thing or two. But I had just dealt with this company on the 29th. And um, so, there's always ways to you get extensions or whatever. You work things out. You learn to manage, right? And you learn to make, I guess you can say, deals with these companies that you deal with. So, what are the options here and there, and based on this and that, and how can we, like, can you work something out? Like, there's more room than just a easy no. So, I learned to do that, and to some extent, on the 29th of February, no, excuse me, of January, I had a conversation with this company and we made this agreement. Okay, I made a payment and it was kind of left kind of open-ended, like, okay, just take care of it as soon as you can. And I kind of found that weird, but I let it go. I was like, well, obviously, I already explained to them, they would do it by this point. So anything before that point, you can't do anything because I already explained that. So what do? They end up canceling my service. They weren't supposed to do that. But like in my hustle and bustle of life, I'm like, you know what? Let me just make a payment. And I made a payment towards my account. And then I called them. I'm like, hey, can you just restore my services? And they were like, this is where it got weird. The fact that, okay, the services were disconnected. So now you gotta call, or you gotta deal with their online services. So you connect with their online services, you're dealing with robots. You ask for a person, they're like, yes, I'm a live agent. You're just chatting online with me. So I end up chatting with like four different people. And they just all felt off. Like sleeper agents, I guess you would call them, right? And I'm like, what the fuck is going on with these folks, man? Like they're not normally this um lackadaisical or this incompetent, I will say. They're not normally this incompetent. They were extremely incompetent. I'm like, something is going on here. Like, it's never been this challenging to communicate with these people. Like, I will say that these experiences have happened in other places. With this company, I was like, no, no, this is not a thing with them. So what's going on? But I'm like, okay, I'm breathing through it, and I'm like, all right, pass me to this person, pass me to that person, and I'm kind of going through the chain, and one by one, less and less efficient and more time wasted. Now, on a spiritual level, to me, this is like a vampire energy. And then you're going to laugh when I explain to you how the fourth agent, interesting they're called agent, that I spoke to, you can hear the connection on the phone line very off, very different. So, okay, so I had like three different agents that were robots. Then I got connected to the fourth one, which was an actual person. But what's interesting is I asked the bots or the supposed live agents, just give me the number to get the direct access to an agent, customer service rep. And they went all around it. Like they don't have it, it's not this, it's not, and I'm just like, what kind of game are these folks playing here? But then when I get transferred to this agent, he has this like smile behind his conversation with me that was more of like an inside joke smile laugh. Now I know you're gonna probably be like, oh, you're just talking to somebody on the phone. It's not that. It's more than it's a way that they say things, and it's the way that the phone sounds in the background. It sounds like being tapped, or like it's a whole other, like being, yeah, like hacked, like a hacker company or a hacker system or a hacker agency hacking into normal, breaking into my normal day to day life management and sabotaging or interfering in some ways with how I conduct business and the flow of the way that my business is conducted is not to be interfered with. In other words, it's like I go about my business doing things the way you know what I mean? Like there's a flow and there's a way that I get my things done. So, and the, I guess you could say the understandings that I already have established with these companies. So when I'm dealing with them, everything is supposed to be smooth and sailing and good, and everything is fine. It's like we have an understanding, and everybody's happy, and things are moving forward nicely. It's giving me the impression also of the Medicis when they first began their empire of banking. The banking system was, you can see when it was getting sabotaged, when it was being interfered with by outside forces that were trying to take it down. And I don't know why I'm getting that energy, but it's something to, I don't know. Listen to what I'm just saying, okay? I know it sounds conspiracy and all of that, but so there, after all of that, the person that I get live, after finally I get through to a live agent, right? And I'm like, he's super sweet, super nice, super bubbly. He starts talking about this movie that they're promoting about a vampire. And I'm like laughing because it's almost like indirect jokes, like something that only I should know, but I'm gonna tell you. And because he's like, yeah, um, that makes sense in like a lot of weird ways. Like something like me just answering the question or whatever, just like a normal conversation. It would be like if it was two people sitting at a coffee shop that know each other having this conversation. Yet it's two people that don't know each other at all and are supposed to be working on this issue with my services being restored. So it really gave off the vibes of some like little government tech guy sitting on sitting on the computer with his feet up, you know, like kind of like laughing it off, laughing to himself or laughing to the crew. Now, listen, like I said, my messages come through the way they come through. This is life and spirit happening in 3D, in reality. This is life and spirit is the only way that I can put it, playing out. It's like the bigger story and then the micro story, my personal story, and then the story of the cosmos. And somehow how these energies play out intricately in some kind of weird way. Ways that you just can't like be a zombie to and be like, this is normal. Like I can't just be like this is normal. No, this is extremely abnormal. Like it's never this complicated to get through to a company. It's never this complicated to get like, you know, actual feedback that is effective. And in this case, it almost felt like a disruption, a purposeful disruption, only to get me through someone that's like mocking at the end of the line, like, we're playing this game on you. Ha ha ha. I know it sounds crazy, right? Sure, call me crazy. I don't care. Because it is kind of fucking crazy. Even I have to say it. This shit sounds fucking crazy, but I'm not the fucking person that's here alone on this. Because believe you me, I've heard many people with far bigger conspiracies, with far bigger issues. But when you put that, when you put those things together with my background, or you put those things together with what I do in real time in terms of um, exposing my personal beliefs on on a platform that you don't really know who's on the other end, you know? And how these other, you expose your personal life, meaning like from your home. You could work from home, or you can just post online. But it's like it's a one-way street. If you think about it, you're putting information out there and you don't know who is actually receiving. You get demographics and all of that. And obviously that's first for, the group of individuals that are creating content online, obviously. But what I'm trying to point out with that is that we don't know um, how much we subject ourselves to being infiltrated, or somehow being monitored, I would say. How much we open ourselves to being monitored just by putting ourselves out there on social media. Or not even just putting yourself out there, using technology. Using technology, because a phone doesn't have to use social media. The phone should just be a way to contact people, but your phone is linked to all your social media. Your phone is linked to all your contacts. Your email is linked to all of that. And it could easily be Google. It could easily be um, YouTube. It could easily be the phone company. It could easily be the government. It could easily be, some um, hater of yours, some person that has access to a system like anything. Hacking has become something so like that people actually are have the tools to do it and have the interest to do it. So I guess knowing that there is that kind of malice, or knowing that there is that kind of nosiness, or knowing that there is that kind of weirdos out there that find interest in invading other people's privacy, I think it's just like, so I guess I didn't really finish the point today. The point was that when I talked to this guy, he's talking to me about this vampire movie, and so I'm talking to him like very blasé, like I don't know, almost as if I have nothing to lose by pushing the boundary a little bit in terms of how I communicate. I'm usually very polite, or I'm usually very um, customer service friendly, So in this point, I was just like, you know what? Let me just see. And it was just this weird, very, very weird vibe. So I'm not just basing it on this. There's more to this, which is that we end the we end the call with all the services are restored, and there's going to be some issues with the connection. Um, but don't worry about it. If you send me these documents, we can basically, there's certain like uh, government ID type issue documents. If you send us these documents, um, we'll be able to um, I guess restore the service for a full year for free or something like that. It sounds great. I'm like, listen, I wasn't really looking for new services, but if it's a way around getting my services restored with minimal um, expense on my end, then I'm all for it, right? Sounds like a great deal. So I hang up only to find out that the services were not restored. So when I call that contact number again, now I get it's like people are back. The person I spoke to was extremely efficient. I barely had to explain myself. Like, yes, okay, so the issue is I want to get my service restored. I just went through four individual blah 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 blah, and Oh, sure, no problem. Boom, 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 and done. And it was like, and efficient and done, and services were great. I'm like, wait a second, wait a minute. This cannot just not. It's not a coincidence, coño. It's not a freaking coincidence. So I know I sound like a crazy maniac, pero what can I say? That's what occurred. Everything was like back to normal. And it's like, was there like just an interjection of like an AI invasion for that moment, and then a government agent behind it? Oh my God, that really sounds conspiracy when you say it that way, doesn't it? But it is what it is. It is what it is. Do you really know if they do these things? But you know, again, come from the era of landlines, okay, where I can hear when another phone was being picked up on the other end. Like you can hear these things. Cell phones have become like so like, calls just drop, and it's not like landlines. Like landlines were obvious when you were being tapped in or when people were spying. Like, because sometimes I would get like interference and I would pick up on other conversations from a landline. And I would be sitting there like, holy shit, what's this? And I'm like, hello, hello. And they wouldn't hear me. And I'm like, listen, listen, you can hear what they're saying. And you're hearing an entire conversation. And this is just from my home phone. Like, I'm not even trying to reach them. This is me having a conversation with someone, and in the midst of a conversation, some other comment, and I'm like, "Are you hearing this?" Yeah, we can hear this. Oh my God, what's going on? And they're like, "Hello, can you hear us?" So it's like we just interfered on a whole other, people's conversation, and we would just sit there and eat popcorn and listen, kind of energy until it disappeared. And you don't know how many times that must have occurred, like to, you know, it didn't just happen for me to hear others. I figured, I'm sure in my conversations, because you can tell on landlines when they were being interfered with. They don't just magically go weird. You know what I mean? And the same with the cell phones. You can hear like the phone, the services are not like like they're always good, and let's say that it's always good service and it's always in the same spot, and this one day it's like really bad in the same spot that you're always in with the same, like that nothing has changed yet. All of a sudden there's like a glitch in the matrix kind of energy. So, oh my goodness, is that all I have to talk about? I think so. No, I did a video earlier. So obviously a lot to do with communication and communications, telecommunications. It's not just technology. Technological communications are communications, but it plays out kind of in a similar way as when you're communicating with the person that you don't trust. You know what I mean? When you're on your phone and you're like, I deal with these people all the time, and it usually kind of goes this way. Today went really left field. And you're like, wait a second, something's off here. And then all of a sudden, it's like, oh, that never really happened. And then it's not like I can call back and be like, hey, that one guy I just talked to that said he fixed it. I want to find out why he said he fixed it when he really didn't fix it. And why the lady acted like, oh, okay, well, you got your service back, so who cares, basically, like, let it go. But it's like, no, but wait, wait. Don't you people take notes? And how about that? Sue me for the same shit over and over and over like 50 times. Listen, folks, we don't got time to be wasting around here. Technology is either to our benefit or get the hell out of my way. I don't want to use a phone that I have to be concerned that if like everything has to be done like back in the days, send like what was it? send your secret letters through carriers and, pawn off a gold ring and be like, bring back my gold ring when you get the message out. Like, do I have to go that far just to keep privacy now? Jeez. The weirdest of things. So you see I got these cards out here. Kind of what came through. I wasn't anticipating these cards, I guess. So we have something is about no communication, no investment, and no growth. Holy shit. No communication, no investment, no growth. Oh, I got it. Oh, okay. It sounds like an ultimatum. No communication? Okay. No investment? Oh, okay. Well, then guess what? No growth. No growth. So you look like you're sleeping well. Divine feminine, divine masculine. We have the lovers card here. I feel like you're very much at peace mentally, but I think you're seeing behind the scenes of the types of games that are being played to make you feel like you're not sane. Like how how in okay, because even if we were to say that technology mirrors our collective consciousness in some ways, like it plays out that way in terms of how they do dealings or how the systems work is a result of how human interactions are. Then all it is exposing is, wait a second, I'm pretty damn sound in how I look at things, and I keep my mind is pretty aware and keeping track of things here. Like like for example, yesterday I did notice like the video that I made yesterday, I was discussing something where, oh, I was discussing the tutors, right? And as I was giving the dynamics, it's like what my mouth was saying versus the big picture my brain was seeing and knows about the details. It was like almost like the void or the words get paused in a certain place. Like when I was saying, it's almost like, okay, the whole thought doesn't get conveyed. So it's like, let's say my whole thought, there's an alarm going on. Let's say my whole thought process is 100 words, but I'll only say like 50, for example. That's just an example. It could be 75. But you know what I mean? And then the weird part is I'm starting to think it's not a coincidence. It's how the body mind connection works in some ways, but it's also how the intuition works. It's like the intuition itself when it's, I guess, once you allow to trust what your intuition says, your mind can lie, your memory can lie, thoughts can be deceiving, but what comes through is what comes through. It is what it is. And what had come through when I was talking about the tutors, what I meant to say versus what I said is, I said, Elizabeth Tudor, I think I said the daughter of King Henry VII and his mother, which is like not, obviously. Elizabeth Tudor is the wife of King Henry VII. She's the daughter of Elizabeth Woodville and Edward IV. So knowing the facts is one thing. How you express the facts may come out convoluted, missing parts, not fully expressed. That doesn't mean that it's not there. But then you have to wonder why would only this be conveyed? And when, especially when you are intentionally or consciously allowing the flow to be the truth to come and be exposed as is. And when you're exposing as is, or when you say it as it is, you know it's an integrity because you're not trying to control it. You're not trying to hold back. You're not trying to put something in there. You're just like, okay, system, go ahead. Be. Let it be. Say what needs to be said. And you would surprise yourself because it would be things that maybe you yourself wouldn't conceal, or you yourself wouldn't say, or you yourself don't feel, or you yourself don't um, recognize as your own. And you'll be like, holy shit. Like, but it's not like, oh, that wasn't me that said it. No, it is me that's saying it. It is me. It is me and spirit. So there's nothing, it's like spirit speaks clearly, but language is convoluted. Now, why did that? I feel like, no, you don't want to communicate, you don't want to invest, fine, you will not grow because you don't grow if you don't communicate. You don't grow if you don't invest. You have to see what comes out of you. You have to be you have to not try to control. That's like that kind of suppression of expression is either manipulation or trauma, or that's it. No, manipulation or trauma. Meaning people that hold back from communicating, there's, you can probably assume perhaps maybe that the body is not responding to all the information, or the body doesn't have the energy to express everything. Why am I talking about that part? So I'm getting to the point that I guess I was trying to make here is that there is a direct, there's a flow, and then there's a constraint of flow. And as it is with yourself, it is with your dynamics with others, but it is also with how the systems, communications, and technologies communicate with us as well. It's a reflection of that. So if we have systems that, like, apply for a job and submit a resume, based on what that resume says, you're going to be categorized, and there's not the human eyes right there to look and really see what's on there. Like, you're not directly communicating with who you would expect to communicate with. You would expect to go into a building and meet the receptionist and ask the receptionist if you can see the supervisor, and ask the supervisor if, or the HR department, if they're hiring. And then from there you would like have direct contact. That's real. Direct contact, direct access. Direct access is very physical. But there's like a disconnect when a lot of the services that you're getting, you don't get direct access to these companies because, and then they can play with your money. They can keep it, they can play with it, they can disconnect and restore, and you can go, like, for example, there was, when there was a storm here at one point, you couldn't get through a live agent because it's like, it's not cookie cutter situation. It's like, yes, I know that you guys are in this state, but the state that I am in isn't answering. And the, you know, the person I need to speak to has to give me this number because I was told to call. It's like you can never get a direct person. So I don't know if it's a company, technology, human issue where there should be this kind of one-on-one on some level when it comes to interacting. I guess, technology has made it very convenient for us to get things done and not have to deal with people. That's a plus because we don't always want to deal with people. But you know how much time is wasted or how much you're it's like either you give me access to do it myself, all of it, or have someone there that I can deal with. So there's the tree of life is like your destiny, and that energy right now is in reverse. I'm gonna see what that energy is about. So this is yeah, this okay, I'm seeing what it is. If if you're dealing with somebody that is unwilling to communicate, that they're unwilling to invest, and by this I mean not no one's obligated to do so. Obviously, nobody's obligated to do anything. But if someone's in your life and they're not communicating honestly or they're not communicating at all, meaning you're not really getting their presence mentally, I guess you could say, a true representation of who's inside those walls of that body. Who's there? Are you there? Because if they're not invested and they're not grounded or they're not producing some kind of tangible, realistic result that they're present, that they're there with you, that they're here, in some way relating with you, meaning you have a two-way conversation, a two-way dynamic, a two-way connection. This is not just I give, you receive for eternity. It's I give, you receive, you give, I receive. It's a flow back and forth. It's a flow. It's not teeter-tottering with the balance. You are in balance and you let go of it could have been a group. It could have been a group that you were attached to that there was a lot of conflict, like to break through, I guess maybe in terms of communicating and relating to how you express yourself, how you think. So you at least are in balance with your own mind. You at least are in balance with your body. You're in balance with your divine masculine, divine feminine energy. Okay? There's union within your own self. And those that don't invest in their relationships or the people that they're involved with, they can't manifest a destiny. So there could be someone you were dealing with. You didn't lose your balance over. You stayed connected. You stayed, you know you're sound, mentally sound and balanced. So no destiny with whoever this person is the outcome. And I don't know who this person could be, but it could be anyone. And the destiny could be anything. So let's get some clarity on what the destiny would be. Oh my. Maybe it's for the best because the destiny would have been this devil card. Trapped, confined, um, limited or controlled, an obsessive pain even. It could be a pain in the ass, but I mean like an excessive pain, like something that would just be a constant hardship in some way. So whatever or whoever it was that didn't that you couldn't connect with like that, or that wasn't investing like that in your values or with you, there is no destiny between the two, because what was going to manifest was this devil energy. So I see that as a benefit for you for sure. I would presume for them as well. I don't think anyone wants to be in this unless they wanted to put you in this energy. So then they don't get to do that. You're at peace with where you are. So let's clarify on this. Okay. So there is some communication. It could also be that the person you were dealing with was a young air sign, Gemini, Libra, or Aquarius individual. And it could just be that it's a potential energy that's around us at this time as well, the messenger. This is that energy that's coming through, like you're having you're experiencing the realm of air, communications and technology, and in the future of communications. But when the tactic is to not communicate, to withhold, to not invest, to hold on to whatever you give and not produce or grow or manufacture some kind of product of this love, of this connection, of this uh, dynamic. In other words, like you don't see, it's almost like, I don't know why I heard hoarding, but it's like somebody just collecting, 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 but never really putting out what you've put in. So in this dynamic, you were putting in energy and they were not. So they were takers and you were giving and they would take and take. And this could be the energy of these agencies, of these companies. You're just taking, taking, but you're not really getting invested into. Like there's nothing you're getting out of it other than this devil energy. So yeah, this person is not willing to come forward and face you, communicate with you, speak the truth, unveil their mask. Oh, that was another thing that the guy mentioned, the one that mentioned the vampire. Listen to this part that he said. Oh my God, please don't take it away so fast. I did not just forget, did I? It was when I said unveil themselves to you. Yes, he was describing the vampires, like, because I know, I watch a lot of horror movies and I know vampires. And he was like, but it was something like it was a corny, what do you call it? A corny, uh, goth romance. A corny goth romance. And I think he was talking about that one with Winona Ryder that they did a remake of. So anyway, so he mentioned this part where he said, just can you imagine? Like he kept emphasizing the, can you imagine? You know, and then what he was trying to get me to imagine was this vampire dude that's supposed to be this Dracula, real, you know, like the image of what a Dracula is supposed to be. They're powerful, they're alluring, they're mesmerizing. But that it was like a goth love story. It was corny. And he's like, can you imagine you never really see him and then it's always dark? And it was almost alluding to just like why I say it feels like it was like having coffee with someone like having a conversation with someone you know or about someone you know. It felt too personal in that way. And that could just be maybe my own understanding with myself and like hearing it beyond the words, so to speak, on an energetic level. It felt like a like a little jab or a little it's the only way I could put it. And it was kind of like the little devil, right? Behind the scenes, kind of maybe the trickster energy behind the scenes that wants to kind of like play this game of ha ha ha. You think, like the story, your love story, or your how do I put it? Because it kind of goes with the twin flame story. The twin flame union is supposed to culminate at some point, right? Where it makes sense to both parties. But when it's a false twin flame story, it can be like a trickster and go on inevitably pretending to be what it is not. You understand? So it's like there's a lot of game playing or mind games when it comes to the spiritual community that understands on a spiritual level this dynamic of twin flames, but on a maybe physical level can fall prey to these devil energies that want to use that and manipulate it to some kind of weird advantage. And when you think of technology and you think of algorithms and you think of potentials and you see a bigger picture and you're like, well, if this group of individuals believes in this, like very separated from the groupthink that is there, that was innately inherited or inherit there, or you know, it's like I guess you can say it that way. It's like an alien coming in and being completely unaware of your customs or being completely unaware of your ways. And instead of observing and learning you and discovering you and being compassionate toward you, it's like an experiment. It's like, ooh, what is this thing? And let's play these games with it. It's like putting a mouse in a mouse trap or creating a maze for a hamster or a mouse in a certain kind of way that they treat people in the same way. Some of these devil energies that wants to trap you in a way mentally when they see how you think or when they see what you believe, when they see what makes you light up, they want to take that and find ways to harvest it for themselves and and I guess the human species isn't wasn't created to be manipulated in that way where it's one-sided. We have two um, we have a divine feminine and a divine masculine, and they're a team or they work together. It's like you don't just work with half of your brain, you work with all of your brain. You use all of your brain. I'm starting to wonder why they say we only use so much percent. Someone else said that. I remember hearing someone question that. And yeah, it made a lot of sense to question it then to me. But at this point, I'm seeing it differently also. Like I guess, is it metaphors? Or is it like when, you know, like you see little kids and in their innocence, just like that, adults could be very innocent in their ways of being because their ways of being are traditional or their ways of being have been passed on and their ways of being are um, how they're used to interacting or how and when you have some outsider come in and try to mock that or create some kind of like test around it or to play some kind of because they're not from that or they're not of that or they're not in that or they're not they don't understand that you can't expect someone that loves or that comes of love to be without love and call it love. You can't ask someone that knows what it means to love someone to learn to live without love or with a version of love that isn't love and think that they're not going to realize that this is not real. This is not what love is. So at the end of the day, it's like, is it even a question of whether or not it's love? I don't think so. I think for most of us, we can tell the difference between like, yeah, that's not really love. And or yeah, that's a very limited perspective on love, or that's a very small expectation, or no, not small expectation. It's like, wow, it feels shortchanged. That's what it would feel like. It would feel shortchanged. Like, wow, I have all this I want to spend with you. I want to go have all this fun with you, but unfortunately, I can't spend all this with you because whenever I want to share this with you, you, your behaviors, your ways, or your expectations ruin it or become something demanding or become something more than it's supposed to be. Or it's like instead of just appreciating and enjoying it, it becomes some kind of obligation or some kind of demand or some kind of dismissive. I don't give a shit because it's so abundant. It's always there. It's like, do you care to throw away a few grapes if you have a vineyard you know what I mean, in your backyard? But if you don't have any food and grapes is all and that one bag of grapes is all you got, you might think differently about just, which ones are disposable and which ones are not. You might be like, yeah, that one's a little soggy, but hey, it's still good. It's still good. You can eat it. Ah, so that's all, folks. Oh, Melanie, mommy, mommy. So yeah, that relationship, that dark dynamic is like it's an environment that I think you have learned to see for what it is. You're no longer kind of like absorbed by it or taken in by those types of dynamics. Like I feel like you've bossed up, you've learned to stand on your own, um, despite the inversion of mental games that people want to play. You could be dealing with a Capricorn or dealing with a Gemini, because we do have Capricorn energy here as well, air signs here, a lot of air signs, and then the Gemini energy. So. I feel if you were dealing with a Gemini in particular, this person may, may be kind of like a trickster energy. Or maybe they're just very young, so they see things only from one perspective, or they see things, and they switch it up. They switch it up as long as it makes sense to them or as long as it works for them. There's like a lack of integrity in keeping up with the truth or being honest about the relationship dynamics or in maintaining staying in relationships that are um, one-sided, that put a lot of burdens or responsibilities or fear into another, or maybe it could be any of those things. Okay. It's like a um how did I go from talking about the what happened? Well, no, I did finish talking about something. So maybe somebody that you were dealing with, this person, they were probably just in it to kind of, you know, hit it and quit it kind of energy, whether that's just in terms of whatever juice that that they were getting from connecting to you, from being in your energy. You could have been dealing with the life path six, or you could be a life path six. Maybe a life path six is being um, recommended to do a bath ritual here. Or maybe you like to do bath rituals to cleanse your energy, perhaps to keep your space, your mind clear of anything that wants to trap you mentally. I'm getting mostly. It could be, in a relationship, keep you trapped in a relationship dynamic, but I'm getting, or keep you trapped even in your environment that you're in, or some that might not be the best for you of some sort. But I'm getting more that this is more like a mental thing. And again, it could be social media. Does social media have a bigger agenda to keep you mentally trapped in a certain way? Is it limiting your growth? Is it limiting your status? Is it limiting your work? It could be anything. Is it limiting your communication skills or ability? The throat chakra could be activating at this time for some, or maybe through this cleanse, this bath ritual cleanse, you can make the intention to clear your throat chakra or to clear issues of communication. Okay, like open up the passageways, allow the communication to flow. It might be emotional. That might be what's keeping some individuals from communicating with you. They do not know how to express themselves emotionally. But it's like, how do you move through it when there's no trust? There's no trust here. The movie Antitrust with Ryan Phillippe or Ryan Philippe um, and Tim Robbins. It's such a great movie, but Antitrust is a perfect freaking movie for this reading. This is a kid that's in his, typical, you know, how they say garage business or whatever. It's like the Jeff Bezos or Mark Zuckerberg types, like they created something wonderful from their just their little computer, or, or their little desk in their garage or whatever. And then there's this big, high tech industry already there, and they, that's like their idol, or that's like their goal is to get there. This is like, I want to get to this school, or I want to get to, that program, or I want to participate in that thing. It's like that would that's their aim. that's what inspired them to even do what they're doing. So when they're doing it, they create this, it's like the internet is today basically, open AI or something like that, something weird like that, but I'm not a techie. So he gets accepted and then he's like being communicated with, like they're watching him on TV, this big guru that they love, and they're like all excited because of all the changes that are happening to the company or whatever. And all of a sudden he gets a phone call. When he answers, it's him. And he's like, "No, I know you're joking. It's not you because I'm watching you on TV." And he's like, I guess he gets the camera to focus on him. Because what he means is he's like, I'm watching something about your company right now, and then they zoom in on him, and you can see him live on the air talking to him, and he's like, I want you, on my show. Like it's not public for everybody. This is what's happening in the background, but him talking to him, he can see him. He knows, holy shit, this is really you. So he gets accepted to this program. He gets lured into it. He's so fascinated. He loves everything. His girlfriend is encouraging him. His friends, everything is going great. But he has one friend that sees him like maybe as a sellout. Or now that he's so busy, he looks like a sellout. And when I'm telling the story, but I guess I don't want to tell you all the story. But it's the whole same concept. He figures out in this movie, whoever he thought he could trust, he had to second question. Whatever he thought he was going after, he had to second question. Now his life is kind of like he has to play double agent life to stay in this world and not ruffle any feathers because he's got insight to what they're doing. He's gathering evidence. So you could have been gathering evidence. You could have been establishing a case. You could have been seeking to expose the moment you realize there's something off here. There's something not right with this. And I got receipts kind of thing. But you got receipts while you're being kind of hunted down by this devil energy. And it's like, it's like, they're after you in a certain way, or that there's something that you can't trust, but you can't quite escape it either. Or you're kind of in the midst of it, involved in it. Oh, Lordy. Lordy, Lord, Lord, Lord. Someone might come offer you something, but you might not be interested in this offer. I don't know. I'm getting like a very like nonchalant, like, here you go. Like somebody might want to give you something because they know that they left you out of something, or they didn't include you in something, or they colluded against, maybe not even against you, just they just colluded without you in some ways. They entertain themselves in outside of, it's almost like yeah, just leaving you out of something, and then it's like, all right, here you go, here you go. We want to give you this, and you're just like, you look a little bit pouty actually, kind of, the hell do I want that for? But the reason is because there's this conflict here. This conflict hasn't been resolved. Oh my. A lot of energy flowing. Flow, energy flow. I feel like you may have struck a nerve with someone when you ended a connection, when you broke free. I feel like you broke free, even though it's a situation that hasn't, it's a cycle that hasn't fully closed out, but you're not tethered to it. You feel like they're trying to keep you tethered to it, but you're not tethered to it. And these people want to bring you this offer, like, like a peace offering, it would seem, to kind of balance things out. But there was like, but without real communication. They don't want to address all this mental conflict or all this unnecessary conflict. They don't want to address that. They don't want to address it because they don't want things to end. They don't want the cycle to end. They want to maintain a relationship, a dynamic, because they need your energy to be able to do what they're doing. Okay? This is they're using your ancestral energy, or they're using your home, your fourth house energy, your mother lineage, or something to do with your past, uh, with your history or with your past. Definitely with the home, okay? Fourth house energy could be something to do with, could be with your care energy, your Cancerian energy. Could be the fact that you care. These people probably don't care about anything, so you need an opposite. So your care is worth more than 10 of their not care energy. But what they can do with their not care energy, when they use your caring energy and you put those two things together, they manifest for the darkness, or they manifest for things that are hidden, or they manifest for things that are maybe less than moral or in integrity. So look at that. Did I just see 144? No, I did not. All right, so it was 143, which means I love you. All right, folks, that's all. I'll come back with another message soon. Take care.